The rain is fine and slow. The lamps are trimmed with gold. A little silver smoke turns softly in the cold. The waiter sets my tray beside the window bright. Your silhouette goes by and lingers in the light. Smoke in the lamplight rises where no word can stay, makes common hours drift away. Smoke in the lamplight. The cobblestones below shine dark as velvet seams. A phonograph nearby leans gently through my dreams. The coffee sends its sigh. The saucer keeps its ring. The room grows warm and still, as if it heard you sing. No grand serenade was needed, no teardrop on display. One curl of smoke between us, and all my heart gave way. Smoke in the lamplight rises where no word can stay, makes common hours drift away. Smoke in the lamplight. The rain moves down the pane. The room falls into grace, and one last thread of smoke leaves warmth in your old place. Twilight clung to window glass. The floorboards held the blue. A magnolia breathed below, where dawn was coming through. The canvas waited pale and still. The jars were lined in gray. My silhouette beside the pane looked softer with the day. No footsteps stirred the little room. No word had yet begun. Only the rag, the brush, the hush, and one unopened sun. The first gold on glass lay quiet on the jars and wall, and made the little room seem all. The first gold on glass. A teardrop trembled near my hand, then vanished in the light. The rooftops gave their last faint blue and yielded up the night. I did not lift the waiting brush. I only stood and knew some gentle things arrive on earth before we ask them to. A reverie moved through the room, so warm, so faint, so slow. The starlight left the window pane to let the morning grow. No serenade came through the street. No banner met the sky. Only a little golden hush and one awakening sigh. And then I knew how beauty starts. Not trumpets blaze or cry, but where a common pane of glass lets one kind hour go by. The first gold on glass lay quiet on the jars and wall, and made the little room seem all. The first gold on glass. At last I laid the color down. The room grew mild and wide. Still one warm line upon the pane kept morning close inside. The town had shut its porches down. The courthouse gave one chime, And in the little exchange room, the chords hung still as twine. She sat before the switchboard wall with cotton at her wrist, a pencil by the message pad, her coffee gone to mist. The moths kept tapping at the shade, the fan turned slow and wide, and every sleeping house outside had wires at its side. Then one red lamp began to wink above the doctor's name. She lifted up the answering chord before the second flame. A woman's voice came thin with fear from 4 miles past the mill, and all the room around the board grew suddenly more still. Hold the line, hold the line. Nothing more than waiting there between one voice and time. Hold the line, small duty plain and true. Yet in her hands the darkened town had one way through. The doctor's bell rang twice, then 3, then stopped beneath the floor. She tried his sister's boarding room, then tried the back drugstore. No panic crossed her steady face, no word was spent too fast. She only looped the cloth-bound cord and made the silence last. The farmhouse breathed against her ear. A child coughed once, then cried. She said, "He's coming, keep the lamp," and set the jack beside. Outside the gravel road lay black, the moon was nearly gone, but still she kept that little light from being left alone. No one would see the way she sat with one hand near the board, or how a common copper thread could carry mercy toward. Some rooms are small enough to miss, some work leaves little sign, but life may hang for half a breath on who will hold the line. Hold the line, hold the line, till wheels are heard beyond the bridge, till fear has crossed its time. Hold the line, not bell nor hymn nor flame, only a woman keeping still beside a blinking name. At dawn the doctor called her back. The child had found his sleep. She wrote one note, then cleared the cord and let the morning keep.
The rink had turned the windows white, the benches shone with cold. and every scarf along the rail was red or blue or gold. You stood behind the rental shelf with skates in numbered pairs, a pencil through your auburn hair, a mitten on the chair.
The children crossed the rubber mats with ankles stiff and proud. Their mothers called above the band, the bright brass music loud.
One little boy came limping back, his left foot pulled too sore. You knelt beside the wooden bench and said,
"One loop looser."
You did not laugh at how he frowned or hurry him along.
You eased the lace beneath your thumb
until the tight felt wrong.
One loop looser, that was all you gave.
Room enough for one small foot
to learn how to be brave.
One loop looser,
I watched him find the floor
and thought how gently care can hold
by holding not so hard.
A girl spun twice and caught the rail.
A whistle clipped the air.
The coca-cups went paper thin
with steam above the stair.
You rubbed the blade with flannel once,
then checked the buckle pin
and sent him toward the silver ink
to try the turn again.
He fell before the second post,
then rose without a cry.
You only raised your hand a bit,
as if to tell him why.
My own skates waited by the door, the leather cracked and worn,
but I stayed near the counter still
to watch the afternoon.
The band began a slower tune.
The lamps came on in rows.
You tied another careful bow
and warmed your fingers close. One loop looser,
nothing grand or wise,
only space enough for pain
to leave a pair of eyes.
One loop looser,
the knot was still secure,
yet something in the way you tied
made winter less unsure.
Years may take the rink away,
the heater, rails and song,
the rented skates with painted marks,
the mittens left too long,
but not the lesson of your hands,
plain as a working rule.
What wishes to go farther must not be fastened cruel. One loop looser,
softly at the start,
you gave the boy his balance back
and never called it art.
One loop looser,
I see it now and then,
the kindest hold in all the world.
Let someone move again.
Below the
druggist draws the shade. The stair smells faint of snow. Upstairs the little signal lamps begin their evening glow. The wet galoshes by the stove leave commas on the floor. 3 folded slips lie face side down beside the wicket door. You sit before the walnut board with chords in black and red, one sleeve turned back above the wrist, one pencil at the ledge. The county bells come thin and quick. You answer without haste and fit one shining plug to one as neatly as to lace. I came to ask for Dexter 5, a simple call, no more. But heard you say, go on, she's there, and close the booth door. A mother from the Ridge Road line, a grocer by the square, someone whose voice kept breaking up because the snow was there. You held the circuit breathing soft while all the shops below went dark one after one along the street under the snow. The line stayed open, the line stayed open. Past the hour the druggist turned his window shade, till every far-off halting word found the ear for which it stirred, and no one had to leave the night half made. The line stayed open, the line stayed open. There are hands that carry parcels, there are hands that hem and mend, there are hands that keep a wire from breaking at the end. You never heard the whole of it, you never asked to know, yet something in the way you waited taught the voices how to go. The line stayed open, the line stayed open, long enough for one last yes and one more county name. And when at last you drew the cord, the room was only wood and board. But I had seen how kindness works without a sign or flame. The line stayed open, the line stayed open. You wound the fallen chords in loops, set both receivers down. The snow kept whitening at the curb, the clock hands crossed the town. I never placed my call that night, I stood until you rose, and all the way home every wire seemed humming through the snow.
studio front was locked by then. The portraits faced the wall, and underneath the red room lamp the shadows did not fall. You stood beside the chemical trays with water at your wrist, the negatives clipped over string, the air all sharp and still. A family came that afternoon, 3 children, coats and rain. The youngest would not hold his chin, the father smiled in vain. Now one small print lay silver pale, their faces nearly gone, and you leaned closer to the tray as if it could hold on. The timer clicked beside the glass, the sink gave one low sound. You did not lift the paper yet, you let the light stay bound. Hold it in the fixer, not too long, not too soon. Let the faces find their way beneath the little moon. Hold it in the fixer, I watched the picture clear, and saw how carefully a hand can keep the loved ones near. The mother's glove showed first in gray, the baby's ribbon next, a chair leg, then the father's sleeve, then one small dimpled neck. You rocked the tray from side to side with patience in the red, until the blurred and almost lost came living up instead. I came to fetch a passport frame, that was the reason made, but all my errand thinned away beside that shallow shade. You rinsed the print and held it high, then smiled almost surprised, as if a room could give back time when no one advertised. You pegged it gently to the line, still shining from the bath, and 4 wet faces trembled there like breath upon a path. Hold it in the fixer, let the white turn true, let what nearly slipped from sight return because of you. Hold it in the fixer, plain work under red, yet something in that little room refused to lose the dead. Some things vanish quickly there, a blink, a child, a year, a shoulder moved, a mouth half laughed, a father standing near. But once in a while, through careful dark, what almost went away is given back a sharper edge, and somewhere safe to stay. Till the image knows its name, not as it was meant to be, but saved enough the same. Hold it in the fixer, I think of it tonight, your fingers under red room glass, teaching shadow how to light.
to window glass. The floorboards held the blue. A magnolia breathed below. The room was washed in dew. The canvas waited pale and still. The jars were lined in gray. No phonograph, no footstep yet. Only the edge of day. My silhouette beside the pane looked thinner than the night, as if one sigh could tilt the dark and let in tender light. Before the first brush, the whole hushed room began to glow with something only dawn could know. Before the first brush, a teardrop trembled near my hand, then vanished where it shone. The little saucer by the sink held one last star alone. I had no need of grander signs, no serenade above, for every jar and folded rag seemed full of waking love. The window glass turned warm with gold. The shadows lost their place. A reverie moved through the room and touched my lifted face. No masterpiece had yet begun. No color kissed the white, and still I felt the morning come like velvet over light. Then all at once I understood what quiet beauty does. It waits beside an ordinary thing and makes a world of us. Before the first brush, the whole hushed room began to glow with something only dawn could know. Before the first brush, at last I laid the color down. The blue gave way to gold. Still one small hush remained to bless the moment I could hold. lounge was lit by one desk lamp. The wall clock nearing 2, and rain along the tin roof seams kept tapping something through. You sat before the switchboard there, with pencils in a jar. The cotton cords in hanging rows, the town asleep and far. A doctor called from County Road. His voice came thin and crossed. A mother in the hospital had asked before she lost. Her son was somewhere west of Rome on work no train could mend. You marked the slip, then kept one jack reserved until the end. You let the other callers wait, then watched the small lights burn as if a life could hold its breath, until a voice returned. Hold the line clear, hold the line clear. Let no idle word come in where one boy must appear. Hold the line clear, no one in town would know how carefully you guarded space for love to travel slow. The night clerk asked for Bedford, Maine. A farmer tried the mill. The rain went hard against the roof, then softened on the sill. You answered each with quiet hands, then moved the cord aside, so nothing crossed that waiting place where distance had to ride. At 3, the overseas call came back, a crackle, then a name. You leaned close to the mouthpiece there and did not sound the same. Hold on, you said, and patched him through, your finger on the key. And all the room grew still enough to hear what could not be. You looked away before they spoke, but left the circuit true. The rain kept time for every word that passed because of you. Hold the line clear, hold the line clear, till the miles grow small enough for one voice to come near. Hold the line clear, plain work beneath the light. Yet all of October leaned in close across that wire tonight. Some partings where no station smoke, no waving from a door. They wait inside a numbered room and ask the wires for more. And some hands know the mercy of doing less, not more, keeping the world from speaking until one voice comes ashore. Hold the line clear, hold the line clear, for the word that has to find the one who needs to hear. Hold the line clear, I saw your hand stay still, and learn that silence held with with care can carry what words will. The cages woke before the street, their little wires rang, and April stood outside the glass while every yellow throat sang. You swept the seed husks from the shelf with one slow, careful hand, then filled the cup with millet grain and leveled off the sand. The rabbits slept in cedar shreds, the goldfish turned below. A boy pressed pennies to the pane and watched the finches go. You took one cage from near the light, not bright enough to stare, and tied a blue tag to its hook as if a name were there. Blue tag on the canary, small against the morning wire, told no song, and yet it seemed to steady all that choir. Blue tag on the canary, I watched your fingers stay and felt a common errand turn almost holy for a day. You checked the latch and checked it twice, then moved the perch aside so nothing sharp would catch a wing when carried on the ride. A woman came with shopping string, a schoolgirl chose a bowl. The bell above the doorway shook and let the sunlight roll. You said he startles if you rush, then lowered down your tone, and all at once that little cage looked less like being owned. No church stood near, no choir wore robes, no candle dressed the air, only sawdust, seed and glass, and someone taking care. Yet there are ways a small life leaves that ask the room to see, a hand that knows how light to hold, what trembles to be free. Blue tag on the canary, tied before the child came in, bright as April's smallest flag beside the painted tin. Blue tag on the canary, not ribbon, prize or claim, only proof that even song was gently given a name. The child went out with both hands still, the bell swung once above, and in the shop one empty hook kept ringing after love. blue, a magnolia sighed below, where dawn was breaking through. The canvas waited pale and still. The jars were lined in gray. No phonograph, no footstep yet, only the edge of day. My silhouette beside the pane looked thinner than before, as if one breath of morning light could open every door. The blue before color kept all the little room in grace, and laid a hush on every place. The blue before color. A teardrop trembled near my hand, then vanished in the shine. The rag, the brush, the wooden chair, all seemed almost divine. The rooftops softened into gold, the shadows thinned away, and one small jar upon the sill began to catch the day. A reverie moved through the room, so quiet, warm and slow. The starlight left the window glass to let the morning grow. No serenade came through the street, no great command was heard, only the light on common things and one awakening bird. And then I knew how beauty starts, not with a blaze or cry, but with a little tender change in air and wood and sky. The blue before color kept all the little room in grace, and laid a hush on every place. The blue before color. At last I raised the waiting brush, the white began to flower. Still in my heart there softly stayed that blue and fragile hour. Twilight leaned on window glass. The cobblestones were bright. A phonograph behind the bar turned low into into the night. The waiter moved in quiet shoes. The lamps were velvet dim. Your cup still kept a little steam, though you were gone from him. The door had closed a moment past. Its brass still held a sigh, and all the rain along the pane looked slower than goodbye. The chair by the window still faced the place where you had been, and held the hush you left within. The chair by the window, your silhouette stayed for a while, in glass and amber light, as if the room could not yet lose the shape you wore tonight. A teardrop trembled, never fell. I would not let it show. The marble kept your folded check beside the afterglow. The phonograph grew soft and thin. The rain kept time outside. A little reverie of smoke went drifting with the tide. No serenade came through the door. No word returned your name. Only the chair, the cup, the pane, the room that stayed the same. And yet I think some evenings keep a tenderness unknown, where one chair waits beside the glass and learns to stand alone. The chair by the window still faced the place where you had been, and held the hush you left within. The chair by the window. The lamps grew small, the rain grew fine. The last cup lost its heat. Still one chair by the window kept your absence in its seat. The dome was dark before the show. The seats held winter air, and on the desk beside the charts, the little stars lay bare. You stood beneath the lowered sky with chalk upon your sleeve, the brass plates stacked in careful piles, too still to quite believe. A row of coats along the rail gave November to the room, and somewhere in the lobby hall a school bell lost its tune. The children waited 2 doors down, their mittens in a heap, their voices bright enough to wake the painted heavens from sleep. You checked the map, then stopped your hand and frowned, but only slight, for Orion's belt was missing one small borrowed point of white. You found it near the projector base, no bigger than a seed, a white pin fallen from the sky where no one else would heed. You lifted it between 2 nails, then climbed the narrow stair and set it in the velvet dark as if it answered there. A boy outside began to ask if Mars was truly red. The usher hushed the waiting line, the clock moved on ahead. You stepped back once to judge the place, not proud and not for show, and all at once that paper night had somewhere else to go. No one would know the sky had failed by such a little mark. The children would have watched the stars and never missed the dark. But there are hands that mend a world before the lights begin, and give the farthest things their names by putting small things in. Orion was missing only one pale spark, only one quiet point of care against a borrowed dark. Orion was missing. You set the heavens true and made a room of waiting eyes look up because of you. Orion was missing, then found beneath your hand, not moon, not vow, not golden flame, but something made to stand. Orion was missing. I saw the lesson clear. A sky can turn more merciful when someone notices here. The lights went down, the children gasped, the dome began to glow, and in his belt one little star held all the dark in row. The elephant house woke before the ticket gates were wide, with straw dust in the rafters high, and October kept inside. She came along the iron rail with apples in a pail. Her sleeves rolled back, her step so soft it hardly touched the scale. The younger ones were restless there, they swung their trunks for more. Their chains rang once against the posts, their shadows crossed the floor. But in the farthest corner stall, where morning entered late, the old one stood and waited still beside the wooden gate. Half an apple later, when the noise had passed, she saved the sweetest broken piece and gave the old one last. Half an apple later, no crowd, no call, no claim, only one hand remembering who answered to a name. The keeper checked the water trough, then brushed the rope aside. A school bell rang beyond the park, the city stretched outside. She split one apple with her thumb, where age had made it brown, then held it up with patient palm and never hurried down. The old one took it carefully, as if the world were thin. Her great gray head bent lower there and trusted what was in. No one was there to photograph, no child was there to see, only straw and iron hooks and one small courtesy. Half an apple later, soft beneath the rind, was not enough to fill the day, but more than being kind. Half an apple later, the house grew still and wide, and all that morning seemed to lean toward what she set aside. Some faith is made of larger things, of vows and bells and art, but some is kept in pails at dawn and carried part by part. The world may feed the young and bright and praise the quick parade, yet love is often what remains when something small is saved. The gate swung open, footsteps came, the children filled the sun, and in the corner